It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Glen Boue, a practicing dentist, coach, podcaster, and an expert karaoke singer. As the creator of the Nifty Thrifty Dentists, Dr. Boue negotiates discounts and deals to his fellow dentists to save money. He also works with dental companies and their teams to help grow their business using social media. Dr. Boue is a coach with Delivering Wow and co-hosts the Nifty Thrifty podcast with Dr. Vinh Nguyen. Like many great ideas, the Nifty Thrifty Dentists were created by random chance and a pure stroke of luck, born out of the Dental Garage Sales Facebook group. Our goal is to provide money-saving tips, strategies, and resources to dental professionals. Whatever mode of content you desire, they have it there. Check out their insightful blog posts, engaging podcasts, and their very popular dental discounts. Now, you may notice a few ads on their website with affiliate links, but that's to help fund their website and their podcast. Their goal is to have vendors and marketers pay for the website and not you. The website and all its resources will always be free for dental professionals. Dr. Glen Boue continues to run a multi-million-dollar family practice with his wife, Susan Tran. They are the proud parents of two awesome kids, Kylie and Jackson, and feisty beta fish named Dory. Dr. Glen Boue and Susan Tran are both proud native Texans. Dr. Glen was born and raised in Pasadena, Texas. After attending the University of Houston and University of Texas Arlington for his undergrad work, he attended Baylor College of Dentistry for his dental training, which now has changed their name to Texas A&M. And Dr. Tran was born in Austin, and she grew up in Round Rock, Texas. She completed her undergraduate training at the University of Texas, Austin. And I'll tell you what, it is so amazing to have you on the show. Congratulations for the Nifty Thrifty Dentist and everything you're doing. Tell me the story, though. What was the Dental Garage Sale Facebook group?
Well, Dr. Farran, I want to start with this by saying this is it's such an honor to be on this podcast. You don't remember this, but when the ADA was in New Orleans, you were at the bar and I ran up to you. I'm like, Howard from Dental Town. And you're like, hey, come over here. Have a drink with me. We took a picture. I still have that picture to this day. That was at the Sheraton. I was staying at the Sheraton. I wasn't sure if you were staying there or if you were just hanging out there, but that was one of the highlights of that ADA convention. So now, fast forward to all these years later, I'm on your podcast now. So I'm just so excited to be on here. Now, back to your question. You asked about the Dental Garage Sale. So Dental Garage Sale was, I have to admit, I'm a hoarder. I like to collect stuff. And I like to collect dental stuff. When someone's selling their practice or they're selling equipment, I just jump all over and I buy a whole bunch. So I have enough equipment in the storage unit to probably open another practice. And one day my wife says, get this junk out of here. I want you to sell it. So I created a group on Facebook to sell all my wares. And it's called the Dental Garage Sale. And now I think there's 12,000 people in there now. And so when I started selling my stuff, companies came in, they said, well, hey, Dr. Boue, can we sell some of our items in here? And I said, well, yeah, you can if you give us a discount. And they're like, yeah, we'll do that. And then people started talking in there. They're like, hey, what's the best way anyone have a coupon code for this? What's the best way to save money in your practice? And from there, I thought, well, you know what? This is a buy-sell group. I need to create another group. And that's how Nifty Thrifty Dentist was born.
So do you still have the garage sale group?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I'm trying to sell a couple old dental chairs right now in there, but there's a whole bunch of people selling stuff because, it's so easy to post on Facebook and sell your stuff. But yeah, it's still there.
Huh. So to someone who hasn't been on the Nifty Thrifty, what is the website? What is the mission? What are you doing there?
So, the goal is to connect. I like to connect people. I'm a connector. So the goal is to connect dental professionals with dental companies. Okay. Connect them together. Now, I'm a practicing dentist and I'm always looking for a good deal. I'm always looking for coupon codes. When I opened a startup, so I had to bootstrap everything. So I'm always looking for ways to save money. And each time I'm at a convention or anywhere, I always ask, is there a discount? Can you work with me? Because if you don't ask for a discount, or if you don't ask for a deal, Howard, what's the answer if you don't ask for something?
Life is, you only get what you ask for. You only get what you negotiate.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The answer is always no if you don't do something there. And so I looked at all the models that were out there, and, there's buying groups you can join that you can pay a fee to get in. There's some buying groups that take a percentage. And I thought, okay, what's the best way to do a group like this? That is, make it free for the docs, right? Make it free for us. And so I negotiate deals. I said, okay, I'll talk to dental companies. I'll say, look, give us a discount, okay, so that we can promote, all right? And for the dentists, they get a good deal. They get a percentage off that where they normally wouldn't get it, right? And then the dental company, they would get a customer. And in the middle of that, I negotiate like a commission for myself. That's how I fund everything. And it's a win-win for everybody. So it doesn't cost the dentist anything. It really doesn't cost the company anything until they actually sell something. So they love it. And so that's what we did with Nifty Thrifty Dentists. And it's just, I'm a practicing dentist like everyone else. I'm still looking for good deals. I'm still working. I'm still trying to grow the practice and whatnot. I have 2 little kids that one day they're going to go to college. I'm still trying to save up for all those things. And so it's just a community for us to kind of band together as dentists to get discounts and deals.
And so why it kind of sounds like the supply houses on they'll give the best deals to the DSOs. So it's kind of like if you got 100 offices, you're going to get the best deal. Do you think a big DSO like Heartland or Aspen has a lot of competitive advantages other than a single guy when buying supplies and equipment?
Oh, Howard, ever since I started doing this, my eyes have been open to all those advantages. And I'll tell you what, some of the companies I'll talk to, they will flat out tell me, they're like, yeah, you can get the best deal for your group for the solo docs, but it's going to be hard for you to get to the DSO level. And now the group has grown, I'm able to negotiate a little bit better because essentially I'm using the power and the size of the group to negotiate these deals. But absolutely. And look, it's purely economics. Some doctors will get mad. They're like, I can't believe they get that discount or whatnot. The advantage that DSO has is that they have one voice. They can make one decision. That means, hey, we are going to buy from this company. We're all going to buy from that. Now, Howard, you've been a solo practitioner, a really successful practice. You get a bunch of dentists in one room. They can't even agree on the supply house they like the most. And so that kind of divide is what causes us to have that disadvantage. The DSOs have that advantage because if they have 30 practices, the head of the DSO says, guys, we're buying from Shine because we're going to get it. Everyone's buying from Shine. And that's the advantage they have. They have that ability to make that decision.
Well, I like to talk to the other side of the coin. I like to talk to the Shine rep, Benco rep, Burkhart rep. Yeah. Preferably when they're drinking at the bar after a convention. But they say things like this, like they could save a dentist a lot of money, but there's like 2 dentists in there and they each want different bonding agents, different gloves, different everything. They said you can't even get them to agree on a bonding agent. And she'll walk in there and say, well, here's Gordon. Isn't he the god of dentistry? And he says all 3 of these are the same. Can we just pick one of these 3? And then they say gloves is the most psycho. That dentists are so specific on their gloves. And then the other thing is cultural. Like you're down there in Texas, you cross the border into Mexico. Those people like to haggle. I mean, it's like they like to go shopping just to argue down the price. But of all the countries I've been to, Americans kind of do that the least. You would never walk into a mall in Texas and try to negotiate down the price. But there's no mall in Asia that would not do that, or Mexico, or so it's weird. These dentists, they get close to their rep, and the rep's like, "Oh, hi, I'm your friend." So now she's my friend, so she's obviously going to give me the best deal. And then what they find out is that if you're not haggling, if you're not checking, if you're not doing anything like that, they actually screw you the most. They make the most money. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. So my nice, pleasant homies who think I'm only doing business with you and we're friends and we see each other, they're getting hosed.
Yes.
And then some ruthless, crazy negotiator gets the best deal. So what advice would you give them?
Well, my advice is at the end of the day, at the end of the day, you have to separate just personal and business. Those reps, the companies, look, the Shines, the Pattersons, the big companies, they have a certain margin. Okay. They also have to pay their reps as well. And depending on how much, they're charging you, I mean, if they charge you more than, let's say, my office, then that's more profit for them. There's a margin. There's a point where they won't go. Okay. And I go back to what I just said earlier. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. And it might be something like, Dr. Farran, you and I kind of have a similar background growing up. But when I was growing up, I had, money was tight in my family. I speak around the country about lowering overhead in your practices. And I talk about times where, when my parents didn't have enough money to feed us. And what they would do is they would collect coupons. They would collect coupons for like buy one, get one free Big Macs. And as a kid growing up, I thought, wow, my mom's treating me. She's taking me to McDonald's. She's buying me a Big Mac. So right. But as I got older, she finally told me the story. The reason why she took us there is because she had these buy one free coupons, right? And so me growing up, that was a way of life, right? And with the startup practice and money being tight, you had to do what you had to do. And a lot of times it's just asking your rep, hey, can you work with me? If you like your rep, all right, for those who are listening right now, if you like a rep, then understand you're paying for that friendship, okay? All right? You're paying for that friendship. And if your rep really wants to work with you, they won't get upset if you ask, hey, look, is there something you can help me out with? Look, I looked over here. Can you match this price and whatnot? 9 times out of 10, they don't want to lose your business, and they'll match it.
But I'll be more brutal. When you go to the store, I mean, is the lady at Walmart your friend? The lady checking out is your friend? Why? When anybody, in fact, when I got my MBA at ASU, the teacher that wrote the book Persuasion, he's our teacher here. In fact, he lives around the corner right of my dental office. And the bottom line is that you're a social animal. And if I give you a gift, yeah, that's his new book. He's been promising me he'll come on the show. Yeah, Influence. That's my teacher and from ASU. And so basically what he's proven is physiology, that if I give you something, well, since we're the same species there's only one species of Homo remaining, Neanderthal, Denisovan, Hoblis, they're all extinct. It's only us. Well, in our species, if I give you something, you'll give something back to me. He shows it with monkeys. Like if a monkey goes up and puts food in your mouth, I mean, you instantly do something for that monkey. So what do they always try to do? They try to take you to lunch. Why? Well, if I buy you lunch, of course you're going to buy your car insurance from me. So when they bring donuts in and things like that, if you let them do that and you let that lady give your staff donuts, well, your staff is a helpless monkey without a tail, and they're going to try to return the favor. So they're not your friend, they're your business, and they're going to give Heartland and Aspen and somebody with a DSO how much lower price do you think Shine sells to DSOs with 100 offices as opposed to my homie with 1?
Oh gosh. So it really depends, but I've seen up to like 40% markup 40%? For solo practitioner. Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen that, and I've seen some of the numbers as well. And not all DSOs are made the same. Okay. Like there's some bigger ones there, but a lot of times it's up to almost 40%.
And what do you think is reasonable to have supplies be? I mean, when they're getting their accounting back, what should the dental supplies be? What do you think is doable?
Are you talking about like the percentage as far as
overhead for collected
overhead?
So if they collect $1,
it's not that much. I mean, it's about 5 to 6%. Okay, but when we talk about overhead, though, I don't only talk about supplies. I talk about your staff pay as well, which is one of the biggest ones. One is the biggest ones, and it's funny. I just talked in a in a forum not too long ago, and they were talking about, well, how do I keep everything in line as far as staff pay? And I tell people, well, a lot of times it seems like all you guys like to pay an existence tax. Howard, you know what an existence tax is?
You get paid for existing?
You just get paid for just hanging around for another year in your practice, right? Like, hey, happy anniversary. Let me give you another raise here. Just there you go.
Well, all the raises are based on astrology. You got it raised because the Earth went around the sun one time, and when it passes the planet Uranus, you give everybody a raise. I mean, why is the sun dial have anything to do with the raise? You call it existence tax. I call it an astrology tax. But I want to put something in perspective. You graduated in 87, so 97 to I graduated 20 years before you. And so you just sent all the insurance companies just told you the percentage of your bill they would pay. So you would just submit your fees and then they'd pay 100% clean exam and x-rays, 80% endo, blah, blah, blah. So my highest overhead in my walnut brain, since I'm 20 years older, is the PPO adjustment. I'm getting my PPO fee from Delta Dental of Arizona is 42% less than it was in 1987. So my first overhead category is 42%. And that's switching from indemnity to PPO, which is all Delta. And then next would be labor. And what do you think labor would be? When I talk to these dental consultants, they say they want labor to be first of all inclusive. When you say labor for Mary, that's her uniform, her health insurance, her dental. It's everything about Mary is in that one fee. And they say it should be 25%. They routinely see it 30 to 38%. What is when you're lecturing about overhead? What are you seeing and what are you talking about?
I mean, that's very similar to what I'm seeing there. And a lot of times it's look, at the end of the day, for you to combat your overhead, you need to be able to produce more, right? You need more money in than money out, right? And so the thing is that if you look at all of us dentists, we're constantly trying to get better, right? Taking CEs, listen to you lecture, you're trying to get better all the time. The thing is that it should be the same for your team, right? We have to get better to get paid more. You need to learn implants, you need to treat sleep apnea, you need to do all these things here. But if we're not doing the same thing with our team, and you're just paying them the existence tax, the astrology tax, right? Then we can only produce so much. And what happens is that overhead keeps on creeping up and creeping up and creeping up until one day you're that doctor who's got like an out of control staff overhead.
Yeah, and I agree. But when you have skin in the game, you own your own office. You have mouths to feed. You got two babies at home. So you not only do the molar endo and try to pull the teeth, you're trying to learn sleep apnea and dental implants. These DSOs have a bunch of employees. They don't have any skin in the game. They see a molar root canal and they're like, send it to the endodontist. They see a difficult extraction, send it to the oral surgeon. They're not going to learn sleep apnea and dental implants. So here you have a person that's still why the DSO model is not publicly traded, because they have financials on these companies and they cannot go public. Smiles Drug Club is going to go public this month. Snapchat went public, but don't you think it's kind of weird that in society you can, that doesn't need Snapchat, but that can go public. Or Smiles Direct can't be as high a quality as an orthodontist, but that could go public. But the first DSO to go public was actually in ortho. It was Orthodontic Centers of America, and it completely went under. So my next question to you is, do you see making a bunch of money off of having associates do all the dentistry for you? Do you see people making that work, or do you see people attracting lots of people who don't have skin in the game, have less ambition, and aren't going to do what you just said, learn sleep apnea and dental implants, and try to do that molar endo and pull that tooth and not do it?
Yeah. So, what's really interesting, when I graduated out in 2007, I came out, economy just tanked, right? And I was already in hustle mode at that point, right? Opened a practice in 2009. So those hard times that people are complaining about, I actually lived that. That's all I knew for a long time. And things got better and I'm like, oh, this is great. But I've already gone through that. The new grads that are coming out right now, when I came out of school, I had $200,000 in debt. Okay, I thought that was a lot. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay. Eventually paid it all off. Everything's great now. But the kids that are coming out now, double that, triple that. Now, when you come out with that much debt, man, you're a very hungry dog, right? And you're willing to take a plate of food wherever you can. That is actually where the DSOs could have that advantage, because you know what? You're a hungry dog. You need a plate of food. I got a big plate right over here. Okay. And do they have the negotiating power that I did when I was an associate? Maybe I wanted, hey, I want 30%. Why not? When there's so many dentists flooding the market here who are very desperate for our position, I think the DSOs can pay a little bit less, right? I think the DSOs have the money because they get in such great deals and whatnot. They are backed by private equity. They can outspend, they can out-recruit all of us. And so can that model work? Obviously, you see them popping up everywhere. They're doing something right, and they're backed by a lot of private equity.
Yeah, but you're just what you just said. I mean, we're 2009 Lehman's Day again. I mean, I graduated from high school in 1980. That's the worst I've ever seen ever. I mean, that was 21% interest rates, double-digit unemployment. I had friends in my high school whose dad lost the family farm and went in the barn and blew their damn heads off. And then the Y2K one. If your generation missed out what the Y2K was, what people didn't realize that everybody was upgrading everything because of the Y2K bug. And then Y2K came and everybody was done. And it took about 3 months before everybody realized there's nothing else to buy. That was the deadline to get completely done. And the stock market was in a bubble territory, collapsed enormously. It smells like teen spirit again. It's right there again. And I'll tell you this, I lived through the 80, Black Monday 87, March 2000, the Y2K bug, and the Lehman's Brother, which was 2008. And now it's 2019, the fifth one. You can smell it. But when we're due for a downturn. Oh, no, absolutely. But when you have an economic downturn, it's an economic deleveraging. You're going to see so many of these highly leveraged DSOs. I mean, even Heartland, if you read the deal, guess what its debt was rated at? Junk. When KKR bought it. So that's how highly leveraged these DSOs are. So the DSO, so the economic contractions, when there's an economic deleveraging, I'm guesstimating, predicting anywhere between a quarter and a third of these DSOs will not survive the Lehman's Brother. But I bet Lehman's Brother was good for you because, man, to come out of Baylor at 2007, then get spanked upside the head with Lehman's Day 2008. That would make you realize your whole life that don't put too much on your credit card because one day it might be a little hard to pay it off.
Absolutely. And like I said, just going into that environment and then trying to open a practice when the country is still going in 2009. I mean, literally the patient mentality at that time. I mean, I had to go through that. And so going through that, seeing how the patients were, working on treatment plan acceptance, making sure overhead was low as it can be, bootstrapping things, and then getting out of that, right? And now things have been going pretty good for a long time, right? Once you get out of that, I mean, nothing else really phases you, at least phased me.
Well, let's go back. You're lecturing around the country on overhead. Yeah. And overhead is the largest overhead, like say, unless you're old, and then you think of that PPO, that adjusted fee schedule deal. But that's labor's the highest deal. And once again, you got this dentist who they're just, I mean, I love my homies, but they're nice, they're sweet. They don't want to argue with the Shine rep, let alone their dental assistant who's been with them for a long time. So again, how do you get, and by the way, it's like when the government says, we're going to cut back on spending on this or that. Look, if you're not talking about Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid, if you're not talking about entitlements, then there's no reason to have an issue on cutting back for the deficit. And in dental office overhead, if you're not going to talk about labor, then you don't want to talk about overhead. So go back to labor. So here's my sweet introvert dentist who just wants to make everyone happy and go back in his office and close the door, and his labor's too high. What do you teach this guy?
Well, the thing is I always start off with, what's the worst thing that a team member comes up and asks you, right? Other than they're tendering their letter of resignation. The worst thing is, hey, Doc, can I talk to you after work? And they come in, you're like, okay, what's going on here? And you're wondering what's going on in the back of your head. And they say, I want a raise, right? I have not met one dentist who jumped for joy whenever someone said that. Okay, that's like the worst thing we ever want to hear. Because a lot of times we don't know, like, okay, how much do I give them a raise? If I give them too little, are they going to leave my practice? If I give them too much, can I afford that? And just run through there. And a lot of dentists, they don't have a criteria. They don't have a criteria. They pay the existence tax. Okay, Julie's with me another year. Let me go ahead and pay her some more money because that's what we do, right? Well, I talk about a system called the pay grade system. I actually got this from my sister. My sister's prior military. She was in the Air Force for 8 years. She's a dentist as well. And when you're in the military, you work off a pay grade, right? You know that term of that's beyond my pay grade, right? And so what I did is I have a pay grade system in my practice. There's the entry level. I'll make it very simple. There's an entry level, there's a mid level, there's an upper tier, right? There's a range of salary there. I put it out. Let's say it's like between $13 and $16 is your level one, 16 to 18, and then 18 up to salary the third, right? There's levels. And in those levels, there's certain skills that you are expected to know and master before you go to the next level. Okay, it's called pay grade system. So let's say, for example, my assistant who just came out of dental assisting school and she only knows how to take impressions, takes x-rays. She's in level 1. She's not going to get up to level 2 unless she knows how to make a temp, unless she knows how to pack cord, unless she knows how to scan an arch with the scanner. Now, what does that force her to do? That forces her to get better. But it also forces her to get better so that I can free up my time to do something else. So if I don't have to scan an arch, right, and they're doing that for me, if they're making that temp, what can I do? Howard, I can go to the next room and do something else. It's all about speaking my language, which is increase production and profits. So if they can help me increase production and profits, I have more money to pay them. Now, that takes away from the existence tax, right? Because we sit down, we have a review, right? I have the pay grade system posted everywhere in my practice, in the break room. So they already know if they're going to get a raise or not. I don't have to say anything. All I got to say is, Julie, I want to help you make more money, but you really need to learn how to make a temp. Okay, how can I help you make more money there? See, we already have something to talk about there. Now, that's not the only thing I base raises on, but if she doesn't know how to make a temp, we're not having that conversation because she knows what she has to do. And that actually helps out team members too, because team members, a lot of times they tell me, hey, Dr. Vo, I don't know how to get a raise. I try to go to work on time. I do what I'm told, and I work hard. I should get a raise. And I'm like, well, that's a disservice for you. The doctor should give you a standard to get to so that you know what's going on. So this pay grade system is something that, honestly, I have a sheet that I have one of my slides. That's probably my most requested slide. And I told them, look, guys.
Now I want it. Well, you said it. Well, you actually, there's a big thread on Dental Town called the Nifty. There's a Nifty. But anyway, I want to see it. But go on.
Yeah. So Howard, I want to say this. You know what the most amazing part of this is, and I tell people, when you create this system, I don't want the dentist, the practice owner, to do it. You know who's going to create it? The team. You know why the team's going to do it? Because when they list down, like, okay, you're not going to tell them you're going to do a pay grade. You're going to say, hey, what do you think like an entry-level assistant should be able to do? Oh, they'll all write it down. What do you think about someone who's making between $16 and $18? What do you think they should know? They'll all write that down. What do you think about like the top of the top, the creme de la creme should know how to do? They'll write that down, right? And then when they're all done writing it down, you can say, okay, guys, we're going to use this as a standard. And you know why you're going to do that? Because they can't complain at that point because they came up with the system. Yeah. And so that's the key there. Now that's going to be different for every practice. So like, let's say if it's Dr. Arun Garg's practice, very implant heavy, his pay grade is going to be different from mine. Okay. If it's somebody who's really big on sleep or really big on holistic dentistry, it depends. So this pay grade is not like a cookie cutter. You actually have to figure it out how it works in your practice. But at the end of the day, if your assistant can help you produce more, they deserve a raise. That is basically the criteria. So if the skill they're learning is helping you produce more, then you have the funds to pay them more. You don't want to pay someone just because they've been hanging around for another year.
So your sister, you just said your sister's a dentist. I did not know that. Is she?
So she's retired now. She's retired. She practiced in Falls Church, Virginia. She went to Baylor as well. And when she graduated, she went into the Air Force because she took the Air Force scholarship. Uncle Sam paid for her school, so she got out with no debt. And then she got stationed at Bolling Air Force Base for 4 years. And then they moved her to the Pentagon. The Pentagon has a dental office. They moved her to the Pentagon for her last 4 years. Interesting thing is she asked her superior officer, "Why did you move me over here? I like bowling. I like the patients I was seeing." He's like, "Well, after 4 years, we knew what you were doing, and now you can see all the officers." True story. Wow. So anyway, she settled. She opened a practice, got married. She opened a practice in Falls Church, Virginia. Practiced there for 20 years, and she recently retired, and she moved back to Texas. She's back in the same area we are now.
So are you gonna put her to work for you? Are you gonna have her?
So she does fill in once in a while, like when she gets really bored. She's really involved with her kids. They're state champion wrestlers, and so but every once in a while she'll come in and help us out.
Who's the state champion wrestler?
So her daughter, actually, her name is Bailey, and she won the state title. She was a middle school. She won the state title last year. She's a freshman in high school now, and she's just really good. She started off doing jiu-jitsu, and then she just naturally transitioned to wrestling. And female wrestling is like really growing. It's a growing sport, and so she naturally progressed. She's a natural at it, and hopefully her dream is to go wrestle where her dad went to school, which is at Penn State. That's her dream.
Oh, Penn State. That's a legend in wrestling. Yeah, so I have never parked any cars inside my. I didn't have a driveway with all my four boys because that was my sport in high school, wrestling, and my four boys. Our job was just our whole garage was a wrestling deal, and then we were close to ASU, which got really good because the wrestling coach at Iowa. The second guy in command, he came down here, and so it was great. So that's only 10 minutes from my house. That's why I got my MBA there at ASU.
Oh, wow.
10 minutes from my house. But it was so cool because I had for 10 years, the coach knew if there was any wrestler short on cash, that Howard had a garage payment program after school, and they would come by on their motorcycles, and I'd pay them a cash per hour rate. So my boys were always playing with ASU wrestlers.
I love it.
From starting at the age 5, but that was the one thing they all have in common. So on your and by the way, on your Nifty Thrifty Dentist.com, your Facebook group, got 17,000 professionals following you at Facebook.com/Nifty Thrifty Dentist. Is it all supplies or is it equipment too?
So it's supplies, it's equipment, it's courses, it's pretty much anything you can think of that a dentist would spend money on, and it's
drugs
it's a great,
and women.
What's that?
You mean it sells drugs and wild women too?
No. There is some limitations there, but
okay.
But for example, a course that I was at recently and I was helping promote was Dr. Whalen does a wisdom teeth extraction course. And he did it in California. He's been doing it for a long time. He just moved it to Utah. I took that course and I was like, hey, would you like to work a deal so that people would take your course? He offered a discount, and he was like, sure, yeah, let's do it. So we did a little video, and he offered his course $1,000 off. So for people who are looking for a deal, or maybe they're short on cash, these type of things really help them out. And that's what I love about it so much. I just love making the connection, not just with the dental professionals, but with the companies, with the vendors. That's what makes it really fun, and really just kind of creating something to help each other out.
Well, there's an interesting thread, which I wish on Dental Town you would post on it. It's called supply groups. And these guys get on there, and they're being real honest. They're saying they just don't get it. Like this guy said, the first post says, look, I've been buying from Henry Schein, forever. And now they're asking me if I want to join their Thrive program. And he's like, dude, I've been your customer for a decade or two. I have to join a program to get a better life. And then the next person says, I'm confused because there's a supply clinic. If you call it Patterson or Benco, they have their, there's just so many of these groups. And now CDA started one. Did you see the CDA one? So basically, they're saying, if I buy my supplies from Shine, why the hell do I have to join a damn group? And how do they know? How would they be able to compare your group, Nifty Thrifty, to other groups? How are they supposed to make that decision?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that, because I'm going to start from the most basic way, and I want to talk to you about technology that has just came out that makes it even easier. So I'll start with the basic way. Let's say you're not that tech savvy. The most basic way is get the price that you're paying right now, put it on a spreadsheet. Okay, you can put it on an Excel sheet. I recommend Google Sheet. Yes, even if you have an iPhone, iOS, you can still use Google stuff. You get a Google Sheet, you put like the price. So let's say Shine. Okay, now that you have everything you order from Shine, all the pricing there, you know what you can do at that point if you want to shop around? Send the spreadsheet to, let's say, I don't know, the CDA's company, Crazy Dental, or any of these other companies, right? You send the spreadsheet, say, hey, look, this is what I got here. Look through the spreadsheet, put in that same spreadsheet what your price is and how much you can beat it by. Most of the time, they want to beat it. They'll put their price in there, all right? If you're an overachiever, now, here's the thing. You're not going to do it. You get your team to do it, okay? I work in an office full of females that love to shop. I work with my wife. She loves to shop. They understand that. Okay. So I was like, hey, look, why don't you guys do that? And so you send the spreadsheet off. By the time you're done, you'll have 3 or 4 quotes on the spreadsheet. You can look and see who has the best price. Now, the whole spreadsheet thing, I asked that company, I was like, what's the easiest way for you guys to price compare? I was like, can I send my invoices? They're like, no, Dr. Vo, that takes so long. If you send us a spreadsheet, we could do it very fast. And so there you go. You have the spreadsheet on a Google Drive, right? Download the app. You can look at your price whenever you want on your phone. And because it's on the Google Drive, if you have a Gmail, most people do, except my podcast partner, Vinh, he still uses a Hotmail. But if you have a Gmail account, you just click it, send it off. It takes 2 seconds. That's the easy way.
Why is your partner dressed as a can of Spam?
So he has a reputation of spamming groups on Facebook. So he's actually, I think he's been put in Facebook detention, which is basically he got muted by Facebook, I think 15 times now, because he likes to comment on people's posts, and he does it so fast that Facebook actually thought that he was like a spam robot. And so that's a joke. So we put that spam there.
So did you ever bring, the owner of Facebook, his dad's a dentist, right?
Yeah.
Did you have him on your show?
No, I never did. But he's actually going to be speaking at one of my friends' events in April. So I was going to hopefully connect with him there.
He is a neat guy. I only had one problem. I shouldn't even say this on the air. This is bad. But I had one problem one time, and I didn't know what to do. My team didn't know what to do, and I said, "Well, I'm just going to ask Ed." My team said, "Well, that's a good idea." I sent Ed an email, and it was fixed in like 3 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, I'm pretty sure his son might be the owner. But anyway, so you're saying the only way you're really going to know what's going on is if you put your supplies in an Excel spreadsheet. So Microsoft created a standard of Word and Excel and PowerPoint, and you're saying learn Excel. And so are you doing all this on Excel for offices? Is that what you recommend, that it's an Excel spreadsheet?
So what we do is you can do it on Excel, and you can upload it into Google Drive, and it turns it into a Google Sheet. So you can do Excel, but what I recommend is doing it on a Google Sheet, because you can access it on your phone very easily. If you have Gmail, it's easy to send back and forth. Now, to do that sheet, you don't want the practice owner shouldn't be doing that. It actually should be the person that's doing most of the ordering. Now, what this does too is because you have that spreadsheet, it's so much easier to look at your supplies than a bunch of invoices. You can easily look and see, okay, well, this is what I'm paying for. You should be able to look at it really quickly. Now, there is one software I'm going to tell you about, and I'm going to take full disclosure. This software, it's called Dentira. And they just basically brought me on board to be one of their advisors. Okay, so just in full disclosure there.
How do you spell it, Dentira?
Dentira.
So you got something going on. I mean, you're a dentist. You live in Denton. You're advisor of Dentira. That DENT has got a hold on you. So Dentira is what do they do?
So I'm gonna tell you about the Dentira. Now this is what's amazing about Dentira. Okay, so let's say Howard. Let's say you have an account with Patterson, Shine, and Benco. Let's just say you have an account with them. Okay, when you log on to Dentira and you put those credentials to those 3 companies, this is your own account. Okay, it will automatically, when you search for supplies, it will automatically compare the prices to those 3 companies. Automatically. Now you're probably thinking, how are they getting that data from Benco, from Shine, and from Patterson? Like, how are they doing that? Patterson's not going to do that. Those guys aren't going to do it. The key here is using your login, and that's your information. So what it does is it aggregates all that information into one spot. So it's almost like, I don't know if you remember using Priceline. A lot of people use different stuff now, but yeah, it's like Priceline.
So that's why I was trying to tell all the young kids, because I already lived through Priceline and all that. Now they're going through Uber and Lyft, and I said, okay, so Priceline, they're this original thing, but there was no protective mode around that business, and then there got to be so many that the next wave was aggregators that would surf them all. And I said, Uber came out, and the first competitor that popped up, Lyft, took a quarter of their business away. I said, fast forward 10 years, and you live north of Dallas, there'll probably be 10 different Uber companies just for Dallas.
Yeah.
And there's no protective mode. So you're saying this supply company is kind of like the Priceline, or who was the aggregator, the one that would in hotels?
I think that's was hotels.com that does all that. Yeah, and then there's a Kayak that came up.
Right.
Kayak came from there. The Hotwire, of course, came from there. So all these other companies kind of spun off from there. And so what's amazing about Dentira is just a platform, and it uses your login to get into all those pricing there. So obviously what you're seeing is going to be different from mine, because my pricing is probably a little different there, but it pulls it up, and instantaneously when you're looking for Filtech Supreme, it's going to have the price for Shine, Patterson, Benco right there. Now, what's more amazing is when you put to order, let's say I'm going to buy this from Benco, I'm going to buy this from Shine, right? You get the lowest price for everything. They automatically send it in and fulfill your order for you.
So who do you think is the biggest threat right now to Patterson, Shine? I mean, I know what Shine's doing. I think Benco's on top of it. I have no idea what Patterson's doing. I ever since Pete Frechette, I mean, he was my buddy. I love that guy so much. He taught me so much, because my sister my oldest sister's a Catholic nun. It was right next. It's in Minneapolis, St. Paul. So when I flew to go see her, I had to do something business for 4 hours and 1 minute. So I would fly up there and either go to 3M or Patterson and bug Pete Frechette or the 3M people for 4 hours and 1 minute, then go hang out with my sister and then fly home. But anyway, who is the biggest threat to those guys right now? Is it this whole business going on to Amazon, who has been at the Greater New York meeting the last 3 years in a row, and will have a booth there the week after Thanksgiving?
It's amazing.
Or is it all these supply groups? What do you think scaring them more?
Oh, I'm telling you right now, the only reason why Amazon hasn't really jumped into that is that they're missing one component that those big guys have, and that component is the repair component. Right? The repair, the service component. That's actually their big thing. If Amazon could figure that out, I don't know how, but if they can figure that out, is going to be bad news for those companies, because Amazon has the shipping, has that whole system down cold. They have it down cold. Every dentist has an Amazon account. It's super easy to order. The prices are good. But what's missing here is the service component. That's the thing. If Amazon somehow came up with a service component, man. So I would say they would probably be one of the biggest threats right there. There's always going to be buying groups. I mean, there's so many right now, Howard. Like, you could name off the top of your head. There's so many, and with my group, I just try to be a little different. And basically, I don't charge to be in it, number one. And also, some of these supply groups, some buying groups, they look for the really big things. Okay, I want to do a deal with I don't know, Brassler. I want to do a deal with this here. And well, I do deals with everything they might need, even courses, even events. And so my goal is that, look, if I can help dentists save some money and do good myself, I've accomplished my goal.
And so is this dentaire, is that Christopher Hofpaar?
So no, actually, it's funny you brought them up. He has Christopher Hofpaar, and he's been on the show too. So
he was 748. He was 748.
Oh yeah. Chris and I are really good friends. We do a lot of joint business together, and he has the Business of Dentistry group. Okay, it's a dentist only group on Facebook. But yeah, Chris Hofpaar is actually one of the advisors of Dentera as well, along with myself.
Okay, so he's an advisor. He's not the owner?
He might be pretty soon. I don't know what he has negotiated with them, but we start off as advisor. I don't know where he's at right now.
Who's the brainchild?
So his name is Vikas Lost, and he's one of the creators of that.
What's his name?
Vikas, Vikas. I want to have him connect with you because I think he'll be a great guest.
Yeah. So it's gonna be like a hotels.com, priceline.com. Yeah. They're not gonna get into touching the supplies. They're not gonna get a warehouse. They're not gonna buy stuff. They're just gonna it's just information. Right. And but these docs are gonna need to learn how to digitize their order. And that's what you call transparency deal. Like when you're walking. When a rep comes into your office and you're one-on-one and starts telling you something, there's no element of transparency to increase the amount of truth. What a rep will say to you one-on-one is quite different than what she'd say in a Facebook group where you have 17,000 people in your group saying, well, that ain't right. That's completely full, So it's kind of like a lion. They don't want to fight a herd of antelope. They find one the weakest, smallest, fattest, baldest, shortest, and they kind of try to get them separated from the herd, and then they kill them on one. So these dentists, how many of these dentists are able to do this Google thing that you're talking about?
Well, so the thing is like a lot of times, first of all, dentists, a lot of times they're so lazy. They don't want to put in a little effort to do these things, but coming up with that spreadsheet, anyone I coach with Dr. Anissa Holmes, who has been on this podcast and was one of the Dental Town mentors. She talks about it all the time, how she got to be one of the mentors in Dental Town. Her coaching group, I teach this overhead. I teach this spreadsheet, and really it's about the team doing it for you, not for the doctor. Because look, we never have enough time. Okay, but our team has enough time there. It's really just getting down there an order on a spreadsheet so you know exactly what you're paying for. Howard, it's amazing. So many times when I ask a dentist, hey, how much do you pay for so-and-so product? And they have to basically spend days trying to figure it out. And you should be able to get that sheet up and know exactly what you're paying for Filtech or lidocaine in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes. If you don't know, then you don't have a pulse of your practice. And that's really important, because when we delegate and we trust our team to order all these supplies, if we're not staying on top of that, your supply cost is going out of control. And it happens all the time. And so little things like that, having that, and then when someone says, hey, Dr. Farran, I can give you the best price. I can beat your supply house, right? You can say, okay. Well, let me fire off this spreadsheet here and you can prove it to me. And you can do that in less than 5 minutes if you have it on the spreadsheet. As far as how many people do it, you know what? Most of the coaching clients that I'm involved with, they all do it. As far as when I lecture around the country, it's hard to tell. I was at the Dr. Tran Pham, who's really big, who I followed on Dental Town. Most of all these people that I followed on Dental Town, I followed them from your platform, okay? But I spoke at his event. I spoke at Dental Maverick event. I was one of the speakers. And sure enough, I talked about that. And a lot of doctors came up and said, hey, what do you mean by the spreadsheet? What do you mean by the Google? And I talked to them. Now, I don't know how many percentage adopted it, but hey, if a small percentage did, I did my job.
Well, and that's another thing. I see a lot of these amazing dental assistants. They're artists. Dentists are surgeons. They're not. They work with their hands. I mean, the physicians, 80% of them never touch anybody's body with a scalpel and sutures and all that stuff. So you get this assistant, and she loves to take impressions and make temporaries and pack cords. And they're artists. They like to work with their hands. They don't have any organization skills. Well, here's the deal. I have had very good luck with hiring girls from Chase Bank. Bookkeepers have been my best managers for 32 years. Always came from bookkeeping because, remember, healthcare and government pay the highest wages, and bookkeeping and all that stuff is very low wage. So the bookkeepers would always be wanting 25% less. But I could hire a bookkeeper and put her at the front desk, and in 2 weeks knew every single thing that the practice manager software did, knows all the numbers, they'd come back to you and they'd say, well, I noticed your software generates 58 reports, but you've only ran 6. Do you only want those 6? But if you take an artist, you take some artist that loves to work with their hands, pack cord, make temporaries, you couldn't teach her accounting or bookkeeping or to balance her own check register. So it's real easy to teach a bookkeeper how to make a temporary, or to take a bookkeeper and teach them what the insurance code is. Oh, this means root canal or cleaning. But you can't take a non-scientific mind. I mean, the only thing you can do with that, when you meet a non-scientific mind, you just want to go drinking with them. You don't, you don't want to go. You don't want to have them working for you. So I think that's amazing. So Amazon, you think, is being held back because they don't have, they can't repair equipment. They can't install and maintain equipment.
That's the big disadvantage they have, because that's the service component. You need that. You're going to buy equipment. You need it installed. You need service. You need it. And that's the one thing that most of the big supply houses, they will always hold over every dog. Hey, you know what? You buy from us, you're going to get preferential treatment. We're going to make sure that you're at the top of the queue, okay, to get your things repaired. And Howard, you and I know, hey, money's green all the way around, okay? Like look, Shine, sometimes Patterson, they come and repair some of my equipment, depending on who can come out quicker, and they still take my money. My money is as good as one of their customers. Maybe, is it true that I might have to wait a little bit? Maybe, but the amount of money I save buying from, a company like Crazy Dental that I buy a lot from, that offsets that little inconvenience.
Well, what do you, so you say you buy a lot of stuff from Crazy Dental? Crazy Dental.
Yeah, Crazy Dental. I want to say they were on your podcast.
Right, they were. So you buy stuff from Crazy?
Yeah. So actually, we have a deal. Nifty Thrifty Dentists has a pretty good deal with Crazy Dental. So they are really, they really want to work with docs. They want to work with docs like all across the country, and they were very, very generous with the group, and they offered some really nice perks, and I took advantage of one of those perks.
And what do you think they'll think of this new Dentera?
Well, so actually, remember, Howard, when we started, I told you like my unique ability is to connect people. So I already connected the two. I said, hey, I like you guys. I like you. Why don't you guys talk, and maybe y'all can work together and help us all out.
And who's the owner? Who's the founder, you said again?
His name is Vikas. I'll have to. Yeah, I'll send that to you later. I can't even butcher his last name.
But to me, what I don't understand is, everyone's focused on supplies, and the smarter thing is what you're focused on is labor. I mean, after you get done paying your labor bill, do you really care what your electric bill is? And then you'll see dentists putting a lockbox over the thermostat when he's got, some receptionist in menopause and some assistant who's anorexic. And, he's trying to get all these different body types, to get together. And it's like, my God, I would focus on labor. And that is just amazing. But so what else has got you most passionate about?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. So I'm actually, when I went to undergrad, I actually wanted to major in English. I love to write. I wrote for my school newspaper. I wrote for my paper when I was in undergrad. And my dad said, you know what? You gotta major in something else, man. English, no. And so I ended up getting a psychology degree because I was gonna parlay that to something else, and then I ended up going back to school to get my prereqs for dental school, and I got a bio degree too. So I have 2 degrees, and so I've always wanted to write, and so I actually am going to be releasing a book in the fall. It's actually a romance novel. People always think, what? I was like, yeah, it's actually a story I've been working on for about 10 years. That's coming out. I already have a publishing deal. It's coming out. It's called 2612 Cherry Hill Lane. The significance of that address is actually where a major event for one of the main characters happened at that address. That's coming out in the fall. And so I'm really proud about that. I'm actually coming out with a second book. It's actually a business book, how to grow your business and your profile on social media. That's going to come out right after that. So I'm actually, I'm going to give you a little spoiler. I'm using that novel as a case study in this other book too. So that's what's coming up. And I have a Facebook page for that. I can give you the link for that. And that's coming out. And I'm just the type of guy that likes to get involved in different things.
Well, that is awesome, man. I love everything you're doing. I love your positive energy. I love your karma. I mean, I just love it all. I mean, I just think, dentistry needs more positive things like that. And, a lot of dentists, some of them are even in Texas where, I got an email the other day. There's this kid in Texas, and he said that he's in small urban redneck Texas, and he doesn't know if he fits in, if they like him or this or that. And I said, you're overthinking that. Don't sit there at your study club and wonder if that guy over there likes you. Yeah. Walk over there and pull up a chair and sit down. And if he doesn't like you, give him a beer. I'm sure after 5 beers he'll like you. But I love dentists who think in hope, growth, and abundance, and we're all going to work this and innovate this out together. And they all want to live in fear because Smiles Direct Club is going public and a DSO is moving in. So what do you think? Last question. We're over an hour. And they're telling me I gotta go. What do you think of Smiles Direct Club going public?
You know what? I think that dentists we get so doom and gloom, like we were just saying. We have a lot of dentists have a scarcity mindset, and what you really need to have is an abundance mindset. And basically, what that means is there's enough work, there's enough people to help for everybody. And if you're not willing to adapt, because think about it, Howard, you've been in dentistry for a long time. You've seen the changes. You've seen the changes coming, all around us. When you look at the big box stores and Amazon coming up, you looked at the mom and pop stores and when Walmart came up, right? If you're unwilling to adapt, you're unwilling to have an open mind, you're going to let everyone pass you up. And that's my advice to everyone, is that things will change. Things will never be the same again. And you can sit back and cry about it, or you can just say, hey, things are changed, and now I see an opportunity to adapt with the times.
Yeah, so. And I just think it's so dentistry that right now 1.7 million out of 324 million are wearing braces. So basically 90 8% can't afford $6,500 braces. And here's Smiles Direct Club saying, well, we're going to lower the fee. And what we're going to do is, and you saw them every month for 24 years. We're going to cut 24 to 18 and shit. We're not even going to have them come in. We're just going to send them right to you. And we're only going to do, we're not going to take a Ceph and try to figure out what a 12-year-old is going to look like at 20. We're only doing full-grown humans, class 1 molar, class 1 canine, 5 millimeters of crowding or less. They only accept 20% of their cases, and they're going to try to save you $2,000. And here's America, where only 1.7 million people are wearing braces. And the first thing everybody worries about, will this affect the rich orthodontist who makes $350,000 a year, who's never lowered his price one time since Adam and Eve? It's like they want to do social media. They want more new patients. They want to do everything but make it lower cost. And America, if there was only one smart thing it ever did, it's about the people. It's not about the kings and queens. Henry Ford, wasn't the first car company. There were 86 car companies where a bunch of people were making one really expensive car for one rich king or queen. And Henry said, no, man, we're going to make one for the masses. And when you aim your market at the masses, you make money. But again, Dennis, they don't even know how McDonald's makes money. They think you have to have a Ruth's Chris steakhouse in the fanciest restaurant in Dallas. Yeah. Their first think is always, well, if I have the nicest, richest steakhouse, Mercedes-Benz, I'll be successful. It's like, dude, there's 324 million Americans. Why don't you know what the best form of marketing is? It's called lowering your fee. It's called price elasticity. If everybody charges $1,000 for a crown, then go to 900. Instead of sitting there complaining about people price shopping. So I like the fact that it's American innovation. It's using technology to drive down fees. And since, only 1.7 million Americans right now are wearing braces, that market only has it to grow. And if orthodontics does itself right, 20 years from now, maybe there'll be 50 million people wearing braces.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But we are out of time. But man, I love everything you do. I wish you'd go in there and go into that group, that thread. It's called supply groups. Just 2 words, supply groups. Because they are genuinely asking, because now it's overwhelming. It's like, my God, there's so many supply groups. And I love what you said. In fact, that'd be a great article for Dental Town magazine is to write.
Anytime, that's on my list of things to do is to write something for Dental Town. I get the magazine.
Yeah, do that because it's the right answer. I mean, if you're not going to put it to paper and put it out to shop, you're not going to get,
You're just guessing.
And they don't know Excel. They don't know everything you just said. Google Docs, they don't know what that is. They don't know what Excel is. So they need a paper. You should write an article on the details of how to do this so you can shop around your supplies.
Howard, anytime. And I want to say this before we jump off is that I, as a dental student, I was a member of Dental Town. I learned so much there from I want to mention this. One of my favorite threads was the breakaway thread. I talked to Scott Luna not too long ago. I told him I copied every single post he ever posted. And he was shocked. I was like, yeah, and half of it you took down later. But that's another story. He thought that was funny. But the breakaway Tommy Murph's extraction thread. Okay, I was a big follower.
But tell me this: why is Scott Loon's? I mean, he's so popular.
Yeah,
he's so popular, but he's the most controversial.
Yes.
So why is that? Why is he so controversial?
So I'll tell you this, Howard, and I wouldn't say you're as controversial, okay? But when someone does something different, like you, like Scott, like Anissa Holmes, like what I'm doing, whenever you do something different, people don't like that. People don't like that. They're set in a certain way. And when someone brings something new, they just want to do everything they can to discredit it. And look, I'm sure when you created Dental Town, right, you had a lot of naysayers. But look at it now. It's actually, Dental Town is actually what has created everything you see. Everything you see on Facebook is actually from Dental Town. Is actually from Dental Town. Everyone who has the groups, everyone whose influence is on Facebook, they have a Dental Town profile, and they were very active, and that's including myself. So so that's a shout out to you, Howard. Literally, you are like the one who, and the thing with you, Howard, I want to say this, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, but you've also adapted with the times. I mean, you've taken, okay, you started the podcast, and then we all did a podcast, but you've taken it to such a high level. It's like the same thing with Dental Town there. So that's a shout out to you. And that's why guys like me who still are very excited to even get a mention from you.
You're too
Travis
kind.
Campbell, who's a friend, who is a friend of mine. Travis Campbell, who's a friend of mine. We practice in the same area. He literally was like, "Hey guys, Howard mentioned me on a Twitter." He was so happy about it. We were like, "Wow, that's so amazing!" He gave you a shout out. So Howard, just to you, man, thank you so much for having me on and being a great influence. A lot of the stuff that you posted about and you spoke about, I implemented in my practice, and that's why a guy like me could do a startup in a semi-rural area. An Asian guy like me coming there and taking care of all these cowboys. A guy like me can do that because I learned from guys like you, Howard. So thank you.
All right, and thanks for the kind words. And yeah, I love Scotland. I mean, amazing wife, amazing kids. I just when he's so controversial, I just giggle because humans want everything the same, and everyone's going to shoot everyone who tries to change anything. And if that's the way we'd been thinking, we'd still be cavemen living with Neanderthals, and so power to the people that try to. Anybody can be a critic. Anybody can sit there on the couch. And but you know what? Who cares about the critics? So when someone sends me a bad email, I always do the same thing. I always reply back and say, "Hey, I want you to know someone's hacked in to your email because I know you're not the type of asshole that would write this." And it's a joke that his own words were asshole. But anyway, okay, Glenn, thank you so much for coming on the show, and like say, I hope you write an article on how to do that. That was genius.
Absolutely.
And Godspeed to you and the Nifty Thrifty Dentists on Facebook. And have a good one tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Howard, and I appreciate you having me on.